In a luxurious ballroom, decorated with brilliance and pomp, the wedding of Henrique, a young millionaire, and Sophia, the woman of his dreams, was taking place. All the guests were marveled by the stunning scenery, crystal chandeliers, exotic flowers, and a table laden with fine delicacies. The ceremony was about to begin, and anxiety filled those present. However, no one knew that an unexpected surprise awaited everyone, including the bride. Henrique, a successful businessman, had amassed his fortune through years of dedication to his investment company. His life seemed perfect. A financial empire, an enchanting bride, and loyal friends surrounded him. But, a few weeks prior, a series of bad investments and a crisis in the financial market had ruined everything. Henrique, desperate, tried at all costs to reverse the situation, but he knew there was nothing more he could do. His empire had crumbled, and he was about to lose everything he had once believed to be his security. However, he was determined not to let anyone know about the bankruptcy. The idea of losing his bride and the image of success in front of his friends was unthinkable. On the eve of the wedding, Henrique spent the night awake, battling anxiety. When the big day arrived, he was ready to face his own demons. However, a final doubt tormented him. Should he tell Sophia the truth, or hide it from everyone and proceed with the ceremony, even if it was a lie? The decision was made. Henrique was about to make the biggest choice of his life. Beside Sophia at the altar, with all eyes on them, he could no longer hide the truth. The ceremony was at its peak, and he took the microphone. All those present fell silent, awaiting what he had to say. Sophia, he began, his voice trembling, I need to be honest with you. Before we continue, I need to reveal something that no one knows. I've lost everything. Everything we built, all our possessions, everything we did. Everything you see here today is no longer real. I am no longer the man you thought I was. And I don't know what to do now. The hall fell into absolute silence. The guests exchanged perplexed glances. Henrique felt the weight of reality crashing down like a wave, but he still believed that Sophia, the woman he loved, would understand him. Sophia remained silent for a few seconds, looking at the sky. She was looking at him with an expression that mixed surprise and confusion. But before he could continue, she approached him, holding his hands. Henrique, she said calmly, I know. Henrique looked surprised, not understanding. I know you've lost everything, Sophia continued, I saw the signs, the changes in your eyes, in your behavior. And I'm not blind to the difficulties you're facing. But do you know what else I know? I know that the love we have doesn't depend on money or material wealth. And what matters to me, Henrique, is who you are, not what you have. The guests began to whisper, not believing what they were hearing. Sophia looked at him, her eyes filled with sincerity and love. I chose you, Henrique. Not for your money, but for the incredible person you are. I chose you and not the things you possessed. Henrique, with tears welling up in his eyes, felt an enormous weight lifted from his shoulders. The pressure, the fear, and the shame he had carried for weeks disappeared the moment Sophia spoke those words. He smiled, and without further hesitation, said, then let's move forward. Together, no matter what happens. After the revelation at the altar, the wedding that seemed like a fairy tale crumbled into a difficult and uncomfortable reality for everyone. The guests, initially surprised, began to feel uneasy, and a growing murmur filled the hall. The brilliance of the ceremony faded, and smiles turned into judgmental gazes. But the worst was yet to come. While Henrique and Sophia were still in the center of the room, applauded by some, others, especially Sophia's parents, could not hide their dissatisfaction. Mr. and Mrs. Costa, Sophia's parents, had always been a dominant presence in her life, shaping her choices based on their own beliefs about success and financial security. They were in shock, their faces pale with disbelief and disappointment. Mr. Costa, a successful and extremely pragmatic businessman, wasted no time in approaching Sophia, his stern gaze piercing his daughter. Sophia, are you out of your mind? He exclaimed, his voice cold and harsh. Are you going to marry a man who has lost everything? How can you do this? Where is your responsibility? Where is your future? He has nothing left. You deserve someone who can give you a secure life, not a bankrupt and aimless man. Sophia tried to respond, but the pain and frustration were visible on her face. She loved Henrique, and her decision was firm. But the shock of seeing her parents so disappointed left her speechless. Dad, she said, trying to remain calm, what really matters to me is who he is, not what he has. Henrique has something that no one can steal, and that is love and honesty. And that is worth more than any money. Mr. Costa turned to Henrique, his eyes filled with contempt. And you, Henrique, what do you have to offer? You no longer have the mansions, the cars, the fortune. What else can you give my daughter besides empty promises? You are deceiving her, thinking you love her, but you have nothing to offer. I'm not naive. Henrique, with his head bowed, tried to maintain his composure. He knew he was in a difficult position, but the last thing he wanted was for Sophia to suffer more because of his bankruptcy. He looked at her and then at his future in-laws, and firmly replied. I may not have money anymore. I know you have a commitment to her that goes beyond any financial crisis. I understand what you're saying, but I believe that love is stronger than any circumstance. Mr. Costa, even more irritated, turned to Sophia. Sophia, you're making a huge mistake. If you go through with this, you're ruining your life. We cannot allow you to marry him. It's a mistake, and you will regret it. Mrs. Costa, although more reserved, could no longer contain her worries. She approached Sophia and, with an expression of pain, whispered. Daughter, we can't bear to see you like this. We only want the best for you. And you deserve more than this. Sophia's parents' words echoed through the hall, and the guests began to feel the growing tension. Several of Sophia's friends and family members, who were equally influenced by the idea of stability and success, began to question her decision. Some even discreetly moved away, exchanging disapproving glances. Many were shocked and did not understand how she could be willing to marry a man who, in their eyes, had failed. Sophia, although hurt, stood her ground. She looked at Henrique, with a gesture of confidence, and took his hand. I love Henrique, she said, now with a firm voice. I know many don't understand this, but it's my choice. I'm not being reckless, I'm just following my heart. I cannot live my life based on fear or the opinions of others. Henrique, touched by Sophia's strength, embraced her, feeling a kiss placed on his shoulder. The reaction of her parents and so many others present was painful. But he knew that what mattered most was their love for each other. It was a difficult fight, but it wouldn't be the first time they faced challenges together. Despite Sophia's support, her parents were not willing to give up so easily. The next day, Mr. Costa called a meeting with Henrique. He was stubborn but still believed he could convince the young man to give up his daughter. In an intense conversation, he proposed to Henrique that he would help him rebuild his business and restore his fortune, but with one condition. He should stay away from Sophia and call off the wedding. Henrique refused the proposal, feeling that his integrity was being challenged. He no longer wanted to live a life of pretense. What he desired most was to be true to himself and to Sophia. Meanwhile, Sophia was torn between her love for Henrique and the pressure from her family. She stepped away for a moment to reflect, unsure of exactly what to do. But, looking to the future, she remembered what mattered most, her happiness. She got up from her chair and decided to confront her parents once more. This time with the conviction that she could no longer allow their disapproval to shape her choices. I love Henrique, Sophia said with firm eyes. And this is the man I want to spend my life with. I will not regret choosing what my heart asks of me. And, if you truly love me, you will understand that it is not money that matters, but character and love. I have already made my decision. Mr. and Mrs. Costa fell silent, unable to say goodbye. Mr. and Mrs. Costa fell silent, unable to say goodbye. Unable to argue against the sincerity of her words. It was a shock to them, but eventually, they realized that Sophia's choice was irreversible. Although disappointed, they knew that their daughter was determined to follow her own path. Henrique and Sophia's wedding went ahead, despite the family's opposition. And, although the challenges were immense, they found strength in each other to move forward. True wealth, as they had learned, lay in love, and together, they would face any adversity. True wealth, as they had learned, lay in love, and together, they would face any adversity. No matter what the world or their family thought. Their family thought. After the tense family dispute and the wedding that almost fell apart, Henrique's and Sophia's life moved forward, but with the weight of everyone's expectations still hanging over them. Sophia's parents, although reluctant, had finally accepted their daughter's decision, and The couple tried to keep up appearances while rebuilding their life together.